Today you'll be discovering how to find the area of composite figures. The directions say, using the shapes listed, create a composite figure. So the shapes that are given to us on this other sheet of paper are circle, triangle, rectangle, trapezoid, and parallelogram. We're going to go ahead and cut these out so we can use them to make our composite figures. Now we're all set, ready to get started. So now our first problem says we need a rectangle and a triangle. So we're going to pull those from what we just cut. Now that we have the shapes that we need to make our composite figure, we need to figure out how do we want to put these together. Now, the beauty of this activity is it's totally up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rectangle on the bottom and the triangle on top. So it kind of looks like a house. Now it's time for me to outline the shape. You can go ahead and outline it like I'm about to do now, or you can just sketch it. As long as you have a rectangle and a triangle, it is not to scale clearly because our labels on these shapes are in feet and these are not 6 feet long. Once you get the whole shape drawn in the space, then we can go ahead and label the dimensions. Our directions say, draw the figure in the first box and label the dimensions needed to find the area. So I'm going to go ahead and label just what my shapes say. So I'm going to draw the height of this triangle by using a dotted line and label it 6 feet, just like it says in our cutout. And then I'm also going to label the base as 6 feet because we're going to need both in order to find the area. Now I need to label my rectangle. So the rectangle has a height or a width of 7 feet and a length of 6 feet. The base of the triangle and the length of the rectangle are actually the same length, so that worked out. In this case, I probably didn't need to label both. So now I'm going to start with a triangle, so I'm going to write triangle in my box in order to calculate that area. So now that I have triangle written, I need to write down my formula. My formula is A, which is area, equals BH divided by 2. Base times height divided by 2. Some of you may use 1/2 base times height. That's fine as well. Now it's time to substitute in my values. So the base is 6 times the height, which is also 6. And I need to divide that by 2. A equals 6 times 6 is 36. And I need to divide that by 2 in my last step. So if you need to use a calculator, go ahead and do that. 36 divided by 2 is 18. Now I want to label it to remember that area is always squared, so 18 feet squared. Now I'm going to go ahead and calculate the area of the rectangle. So I'm going to divide my space so I keep my work separate. So for a rectangle, my formula is area equals length times width. So let's go ahead and write that down on the paper. So now I need to substitute in my values. So the length of my rectangle is 7 and the width is 6. You could reverse those and it won't change your area. So area equals 7 times 6 is 42. 42 feet squared. Now my last step, remember I'm trying to find the total area of this whole shape. So if I'm thinking total area, I know I need to add them together. So I'm going to go ahead and write total area so I know the work below goes along with that. So first, the area of my rectangle we just figured out was 42 plus 18, which was the area of my triangle. When I add those up, that's going to equal, take a second if you need to, 60 feet squared. And I'm done. My last step is just copying it down right next to where it says total area. So now that we've successfully completed our first composite figure, we're going to move on to number 2, which is trapezoid and triangle, and then parallelogram, triangle, and rectangle, and then lastly a half circle and a rectangle. Now, circles, we just learned them, so I don't half circle to scare you. Taking your circle, just fold it in half along the diameter. When you fold it, you'll notice you made a half circle. But by keeping it a full circle, you can see, okay, I'm just going to find the area of this whole circle and then cut it in half. You're just going to divide your area by 2. All right, you're ready to get started. If you have any questions, just let me know.